Hello there, just a quick video on Bitcoin SV. So it's just looking at it now, and I've been looking at it with a few different angles. There's not really any kind of fix I can make on this. It's not a coin that appears to be bullish, nor especially bearish. It's almost identical to that of Bitcoin, really, when we look at it on, I suppose, at least the most recent time frames. If we go to a 4 hourly, what we see is, let's just go back to 4 hourly. We'll just look at it from September onwards. Okay, so once we had that move there, change it to a 4 hourly, go to September. So Bitcoin was making sort of bigger dips and highs. Bitcoin SV has just been steadily declining, which would suggest to me that it's more bearish than Bitcoin is, even though it's definitely got a life of its own. It's trending with Bitcoin just like the rest of the market is. When we look at it on the daily chart, it looks almost identical to that of Bitcoin, really. There are subtle differences, but the moves are exactly the same as all altcoins and all of Bitcoin's most recent moves. The difference being that on the daily with Bitcoin, what we've got here is no death cross on a daily chart. So that is in the favour of Bitcoin at the moment. The rate it's going now, however, I should say, is that Bitcoin could be in for a death cross if it doesn't pick up pace shortly. Whereas what we saw here is we did actually see a death cross take place on Bitcoin SV, and a death cross on the daily is never a good sign. In fact, when you look at certain altcoins, they had their death crosses quite a long time ago. A few months ago now, in fact, on daily charts, and you've not really got that with Bitcoin. Is the only one that's not got it, and Bitcoin SV has only just recently received that towards the end of October, so a few weeks ago. So that alone would suggest that there's more downwards pressure to take place on this. But saying that, we had our big drop at this point here just before the death cross. So you could write, you could say that, okay, perhaps maybe the death cross was we could count that as part of the death cross and measure it out from, let's just say, to be generous, this area. And that would coincide with this level that we're at now. Generally speaking, a 35% reduction in price after a death cross is generally what's expected. However, in the world of cryptocurrency, I would generally expect a little bit more than that. But we have had that, so you could argue that the death cross, because it was definitely on the cards, it was definitely going to happen, that this could maybe be priced in to that death cross. But if it isn't priced in, then the death cross took place on this candlestick here, and it would mean that there might be a 35% further retracement to go, bring it down to 54. But if it did come down to 54, let's see where that brings us up to over here, and that would bring us up to this level of support that we found ourselves back around April. So that could be on the cards as well. I wouldn't really want to take that risk, considering what I've seen on this, and with the way that the rest of the market looks, it still looks like it wants to come down some anyway. I think I would probably wait, to buy any of this up, just in case we take that and drop down and we come down to this support level here, which is clearly a support, and it does match up with a 35 retracement from where we are right now and where the death cross took place. So we could be in for, like I say, another drop down to this level here at around about $54.3 for Bitcoin SV. Obviously this is just very basic technical analysis on this one, and with the nature of the market, by looking at general coins as a whole, it's difficult to really pinpoint exactly where they're all going, because the market wants to go one way and it's going to take everything with it. Just today we've had a bit of a reduction in Bitcoin dominance, which has led to a bit of pump across the board with alts, and I'm not calling for any kind of alt season yet. I'm not going to call for an alt season until we see the crypto market cap, excluding Bitcoin, pick up pace, which also had a huge death cross, which is playing out at the moment and is no way near looking bullish at all. That is where I've got my theory that we've still got another 15% to fall across the board with altcoins, because that looks like it has another 15% further to fall in itself before it starts to level out, and then it'll have to level out for a month at least, or start to gain from that area for it to reverse its trend and form, the opposite to a death cross, being a golden cross. So I wouldn't want to take a risk on this one, considering what I can see with this death cross, and as we've got a relatively good support level at this here, which coincides with another 35% retracement of Bitcoin SV, it might be worth just waiting to see how this one plays out. Now, if for whatever reason this does pump, what would then happen is that this green would go across the white, meaning that there would then probably be a continuation. When you get that sort of cross, you do generally get a continuation. Now, this isn't a really good example of it, because this was a huge pump. It's a difficult one to really read, because there would have been a cross around this level here. There would have been an inevitable cross take place, or about to take place, probably around about when we saw this candle and this retracement. So again, you could say that this would have been priced in at this point. So maybe we can argue that this has been priced in at this level here, and that this is the retracement. But as all alts do look the same as this, they all have this big dip in here. Same with Bitcoin, they all have this big drop, and now we've got a death cross. I would be waiting for a bit of continuation on this. It might take a while, to be honest, for this one to fall to this level, and you might feel like you've probably missed out when we see little pumps going here, but I can't say that there's going to be anything pumping of any significance. I think the likelihood is that it's going to be moving up and down, doing somersaults and going all over the place, up and down all the time, until we see some form of turnaround on that daily chart. The MACD didn't look great, so it's going to trend with the rest of the market, unfortunately. I can't really be any more used to that, but if someone had a gun to my head and say, what do you think this is going to do? Is it going to make a big move up or a big move down? What's it going to do first? I'd probably say it's probably going to make a big move down, and I'd rather wait for it to do that and pick it up at that level at around $54. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. I know it's only short and sweet, but thanks for watching. Hope you have a nice evening. Take it easy.